He says this when he talks about Donald Trump's MAGA slogan.
Our current president targeted with a message saying that we could find greatness by just stopping the clock and turning it back and making America great again. When that past that he is promising to return us to was never as great as advertised.
But this is not true. One of the things that has really struck me recently is the same people who follow buffoons like Alexandria Occasional-Cortex, the same people are in some ways, have in some ways the same complaint as the people who turned to Donald Trump and said, help us out here because we've been abandoned by the government. A sense of being left behind, a sense that the world, that the experts, the elites, you know, they have this thing, the Met Gala, and this is a fashion show to support the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and I love the Metropolitan Museum in New York, but if ever there was an elite institution, this is it. And all these movie stars show up in their weird fashions. If we have pictures, just put them up there while I'm talking, that they show up in their weird fashions to raise money for this. And so all these celebrities are out there looking utterly absurd in these incredibly expensive fashions that have to be attended by people holding them up and all this stuff. And you look at this and you think, oh, this is how the French Revolution started. Because a lot of these people who are complaining both to Alexandria Occasional-Cortex and to Donald Trump are saying we're being left behind. We're being left behind. And in both cases, from the left and the right, they're being answered with a contradiction. Okay, the contradiction from the left is the government is ignoring you. Let's have more government. That's a bad idea. It's also a 19th century idea that there's money here. I'm going to take the money here and I'm going to put it there and then everything's going to be fine. I mean, that is a childish notion. It has never worked because money is only a symbol of your hard work, your desire, your ambition, your creativity. You cannot, by moving the money, you don't move those things, right? You don't move those things. So charity, yes, of course, charity for the people in the worst need, but it does not change the system. And that's why socialism has never worked. We're going to bring on an expert on socialism and talk about that in a minute. But that's why socialism has never worked. But the right also has a contradiction going on. The contradiction on the right is we say, you know, we don't want government doing things. We want institutions doing them. We want churches. We want communities. We want the Elks Club. We want local communities. But if a factory leaves because it's gone to China and the community falls apart and people get mired in opiate abuse and drug abuse and divorce, tough luck. They should move. They should go somewhere else. Well, you know, you can't just rebuild all those mediating institutions. That's your home. You got to rebuild those things. The 21st century is going to be about training. The 21st century solutions are going to be about training, and it can be in a private-public unity. You know, it can be in a the private enterprise can work with governments to train people on the spot. It's going to have to be kind of like HIT training. We're going to go in here and we're going to train you for the new thing because it was just invented yesterday, and you have to know how to do this. And they make a joke about learn to code. Oh, how can a truck driver learn to code? But people can learn all kinds of things, and we can keep people nimble and retrained. It can be done, and that's going to be the solution in the 21st century. You know, when the Luddites in the early 19th century, the Luddites were the guys who tore down the machines. They attacked the machines because they had destroyed their industries. They destroyed their home industry. They would make fabric, and now they were making fabric at the machines, so the Luddites went out and destroyed the machines. And they were hanged. The British would hang them for doing that. But, you know, they had a point. The word Luddite has become a word for people who don't like the future, but because the machines were ultimately good for humankind, that's true, but they weren't good for that generation of people who starved and whose families fell apart and whose farms were destroyed. We have to be able to deal with technology, and neither the right nor the left is doing that. Trump is still using 20th century solutions, cutting taxes, good idea, less regulation, good idea, but we need 21st century solutions as well. And those are things that we're not talking about while we talk about nothing. That is what the Democrats are talking about. Nothing. They're not learning anything. They're not looking to the future. They're simply talking about nothing. They're the Seinfeld Democrats.